I'm no longer vegan. What is going on with the vegan movement? A lot of people are starting to question it, and that's what brings me to where I'm at right now. So for the last, I've been vegan and vegetarian for 8 years. 3.5, 4 years of that strictly vegan, and then supplementing with eggs on and off for the past couple years. Now, I want to make it clear. I tried raw. I did high carb. Mostly fruit. I did kind of right down the middle. I did low carb, ketogenic vegan, testing my blood glucose, or testing my blood ketones, full ketosis. And yet none of it worked. Through the medium of veganism, none of it worked. And I reached a point that the only thing that was holding me back was the ethical aspects of veganism. That's why I was sticking to it for so long, is I don't want to eat animals, I don't want to cause harm, suffering, or pain to any other being. But the irony of that is that I was causing pain, suffering to myself. And to sacrifice my own health for another being makes no fucking sense to me whatsoever. And I want to break down like what it is that shifted in my perspective and allowed me to open up to trying animal products again. Basically, I started to look into who is funding this green revolution, this vegan movement. I started looking at the vegan activists and noticing how unhealthy they are and how they don't give a shit about their health. They're only in it for the ethics and for the ideology more than anything, and a power trip that's beyond this. And then I looked into who's funding plant-based meats, and I'm starting to find General Mills and Tyson Foods. These companies don't give a shit about the planet and about the green revolution. They don't give a fuck about whether our planet is healthy or not. In my opinion, what they want is control of the food supply. And it's a lot easier when you don't have animal agriculture anymore, because you have all of these huge monocrops that are growing wheat, soy, and corn, putting those into plant-based meats and feeding people shit. That's when I became to realize is my brain is not functioning properly. My joints fucking hurt. My energy levels have tanked. All of these things are a product of me staying vegan for too long. What is this gonna do if I do this for another 10 to 20 years? And on top of that, what is it doing to other people? What is it doing to the population? It's making us weak. It's making us docile and soft. And I don't mean that in the like masculine testosterone, like we need to fucking lift weights and like get back into shape. Like I don't mean it like that. I mean it like humans are pretty easily manipulated and controlled. And this whole movement, in my opinion, at least for me, veganism, was to save the planet, to save the animals, to heal, to be on the healthiest diet, and to create a better world and a new world. But I realized like I'm actually kind of funding or encouraging the growth of an even bigger, like, big brother. I'm becoming more reliable on the system, because the only thing that made me thrive as a vegan for so long, for the last couple years, was supplementation. I mean, challenge me that I wasn't taking the right supplements. I was taking a pure algae-based DHA, which I still take. That's the one thing I'm gonna carry over because it's a great product, Symbiotica. But I was taking L-carnitine, L-carnosine, BCAAs. I was doing CoQ10. I was doing turmeric. I was like everything, resveratrol. It was like not. I mean, I did all of my research, and if anything, I became more inflamed, more stiff, and more sick by taking these things. Because on top of that, where do these supplements come from? Are they petroleum-based supplements? Are they supporting big pharma? These are questions that nobody's asking, and I came to realize like we are getting and we've become too comfortable with the idea that veganism is the healthiest diet, that plant-based is the future, it's the way to go, without questioning like who's giving us this information. Is it the most environmentally friendly? there are statistics that show it is, and I'm not gonna sit here and tell you that I don't necessarily believe that, but I also don't think we're questioning enough of like, what are these monocrops that are destroying rainforests and plots of land and soil and all that doing long term? And is there not a different solution? What if we had animals grazing throughout the land? There's a lot of studies that have shown that adding livestock back to a deserted area, or an area that's becoming dry and basically a desert, that adding animal agriculture back to it is actually healing the land, and adding minerals and nutrients back into the soil for plants to regrow. So there's a lot of things here that we're not questioning, and I found myself allowing an ideology to get in the way of authenticity, of truth, of the facts, or at least what's being presented in my experience. And from my experience, it was not working. And again, if I want to be compassionate to other beings, I will always live my life to be causing the least amount of harm to other beings, but that's the thing, is I'm causing harm to myself. And we have to be more compassionate towards ourselves. And that's another thing I noticed in the vegan community, is a lot of people were like, fuck humans, we're the worst, we're terrible, we're a parasite. Do you think that's the right mindset to move forward as a species and to evolve and grow? And to me, that's a seed of what ideologies and what veganism specifically created and creates in a lot of people's minds. So my whole point to this entire rant is I'm no longer vegan for reasons of health. And I think if you're gonna eat animal products, it should be for reasons of health. Gluttony and eating just for pleasure, that's what's the problem. And a lot of times the people that do that eat meat and sugar and bread, and that's why they get heart disease and that's why they die. I'm not doing it for those reasons. I'm doing it for the health benefits. And I know a lot of you vegans can be like, the fuck are you talking about? Flesh and animal products are not healthy. But you're basing that off of science and cherry-picked studies, and I don't personally believe that anymore. So my goal for this kind of the move that I want to take this channel in is bringing awareness back to these questions, these fundamental questions of what is healthy. You know, look at native cultures. Weston A. Price has a book that points out, you know, these ancient cultures and societies that were thriving, that had amazing teeth, bone structure, and they were feeding off of animals and animal fat, pretty much strictly animal fat. And the second they had foods introduced into their diet that were more canned and processed and white flours and shit like this, they got cavities and you know, generational problems over and over and over. So all I want to say is, let's start questioning this a little bit more. Let's start paying attention a little bit more and not getting caught up in ideologies, but instead asking the right questions, staying open-minded, and having a willingness to learn, because that's the only way we're going to evolve as a species, and that's the only way this planet's going to heal. It's not just saying this is right and everyone else is wrong. And share your experience. Be honest to how you feel, because if you feel like shit and you're just trying to sell veganism because it's become an identity for you, you're harming the planet, you're harming yourself, and in my opinion, you're harming the animals, because it's their planet too. And if we're lying to ourselves, it's only going to cause more confusion, more disharmony, and in my opinion, the destruction of the planet and a species altogether. So let's start communicating better, start loving each other more, start loving ourselves more, and I think we will evolve and grow together, and exactly the way that it's intended. So thank you guys for watching this whole thing, and subscribe. I'm going to start sharing a lot more of this stuff. I look forward to it.